Hello you lovely flossy friends who live in my phone, and welcome to Flosstube number 18. Today is Friday, February the 20th, 2026. I can't believe it's been a fortnight since I was here speaking to you last. It just seems to have gone so quickly. I hope this finds you well, whether you're a new friend joining me for the first time or somebody coming back. I'm delighted to have all of you here and thrilled that you chose to spend some time with me. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Pam. I'm on Flosstube here as Ditsy Daisy Crafts, and the same over on Instagram. And this is my little corner of the Flossiverse where I talk mostly about cross stitch. Occasionally other bits of crafts will sneak in as well. I've got a little bit of Blackwork to show you today, but it's mostly cross stitch. And yeah, I come along, I share what I've been working on, I share my inane blatherings and gossip about what's happening in the world. I'll talk about things that have maybe razzled my berries, and I'll share with you a Scottish word of the day. I've got one of those for you today, and a couple of different things. Yeah, something a little bit different for you. But I hope this finds you well. I hope life is being kind to you and that you're getting lots of stitchy time, and yeah, all the good things in life are coming your way. If you're like me and you're here in the Northern Hemisphere, you're possibly enjoying the days getting longer, the bulbs poking through the ground, that kind of promise of spring just around the corner. And I don't know about you, but I am very ready for it. We've been lucky. Our little pocket of northeast Scotland, where we are in Moray, we've had it really quite easy. It's been quite a mild winter compared to neighbours just a few miles on each side of us. We have a little microclimate, so I really have no reason to feel like it's been a harsh winter. We've had snow, but on the whole it's been pretty good. But yes, I'm ready for warmer weather and lighter, longer days, as I'm sure we probably all are. So anyway, enough bletherings for now. Let's get on with the stitching. That's what we're all really here for, isn't it? Let's get on with my cross stitch. So what have I been up to in the last couple of weeks since I've seen you? I haven't done as much stitching as I had hoped to, but I've still done a fair bit of stitching. I haven't totaled up how many stitches I've done, but it's quite considerable, really, for a fortnight. There was a lot of things I never got round to, but that's okay. I made a conscious decision to narrow my focus down and put pins in things, new starts, and come back to those next year. I'm actually in the position of starting to write things in my 2027. This is what I'd like to stitch in this month diary. So there we go. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing next month, but next year we're good to go. So this last couple of weeks I have stitched on 10 different things. I have 9 of those here to show you, plus another one. The one I haven't got here to show you is a secret stitch that I am still working on, but I'll mention it in passing. Of those 10 stitches I've got, 3 of them are starts and finishes. I've got a finish, I've got a couple of starts, I've got 3 of them are FFO'd. So yeah, I suppose it's been a reasonably productive couple of weeks. So should we just jump in? Shall we just jump in? I'm going to start off with a couple of starts. We'll get the bad news out of the way at the start. It's not bad news, it's just when life throws you lemons, the temptation is to put them in gin and tonic, although I can't stand gin if I'm perfectly honest with you. So my first project, I'll show you a picture of what it's going to look like. Lots of you I'm sure will have seen this. This is it here. It's a Country Cottage Needleworks. It's a set of 7 charts that all together make this one big piece called Welcome to the Forest. I've had these charts forever, and I decided it was Bruce's birthday on the 1st of February, so he would get a start. I'm not normally going to do that, I just felt like it this year. And because it's covered in woodland animals, this is the one I chose. Anybody who has been here before will know that we are absolute animal lovers in this house, and got a very soft spot for woodland animals, so it seemed appropriate. So great excitement to start that. Started off by working on the border. The border comes separately from the Country Cottage Needleworks website. It's a freebie. So I started doing that, work on my veg, And this is where I got to. Now I'm stitching this on a 28 count light top Lagana from Zweigart, because I know it'll pop nicely on this. This is kind of what I've seen samples of it stitched on, and it does pop nicely. I would prefer a 32 these days, but this is good fabric. It's an absolute workhorse, and if in doubt, it's what I tend to come back to. So I put in my box. For the top one is a double width box, and then we've got 6. So I've got the first of them in, and the double width. I've started the border along the top so that I've got my width marked. And then I started filling in my top double box. Now, I'll just pull back to this. There we go. Sorry, all fingers and thumbs. So I don't know if you can see along the cross top there, it says quite clearly, "Welcome to the forest." I, being me and being contrary, have changed that. I want it to say "Welcome to our home." So I put in the first of the flowers. I put in my post that my bunting is going to hang for. I started coming across with the grass to here. I put in the little mushrooms, and then I started putting in the banners. And of course, I'm recharting this as I go to, instead of saying forest, it says home with a heart in each end banner. And that's fine. So I finish these banners, and then I start putting in the grass. And it doesn't work. It doesn't fit. So I spent ages puzzling why. And then I realised that back over here, this mushroom is 2 stitches away from that post. It's meant to be 1. So of course, I counted my mushrooms, you know, up the banner up from the mushrooms. So all of this is 1 stitch out. And the grass that I'd taken, I got so far across with the grass, and then I started counting down to check that I was in the right place and wasn't, so made it work, which is why I was off when I got to this end. So all this grass has already been frogged, and all of this has to come out, and all of this has to come out. And I am gutted, absolutely gutted. And I discovered that a couple of weeks ago, probably just after I'd started filming. I did my last Flosstube, and I haven't been able to bear looking at it since. So I put 2,305 stitches in this. Some have already been removed and some are still to come out. So I'm showing you it as a new start, but it's a new start that has been unloved for several days now, because I just can't bring myself. I just can't face doing all that frogging, which is ridiculous. And I need to pull up my big girl pants to wedgie level and just get on with it. And once I get this one done, I can start coming down and having fun with all the animals and everything. So that is my first start. It's a start that never got very far, but I will go back to it. As you'll discover later on, I might put things in time out of grumpiness, but it doesn't stay that way for long. So my next new start is a seasonal one. I knew I wasn't going to get it finished in time for Valentine's Day this year, but there's always next year. Right, are you going to behave yourself there? There we go. So it's this one. It's a Primrose Cottage, and it's called Hey Sweetheart, and it's one of their kind of wordy, I can't think of the word, not font. Oh, it'll come back to me. So yes, and some of these, the way it's set out, you can do them as little standalone for cushions and things like that. You could do the X's and O's with the hearts, the borders. There's all sorts of ways you can take this apart to make rectangular cushions, long skinny cushions, all sorts of things. Or you can do as I'm doing, stitch it in a oneer. So, on you go. It doesn't want to play. This is where I have got to. I've made a reasonable start at it. I've put in 2,190 stitches. I'm trying to think when I started this. I started this on Valentine's Day, so that's been less than a week. So yeah, that's not bad going. And I've got it to the point where it's now at 52.27%, so it's over halfway there, with a view to getting it finished next year. I didn't do a very good job of measuring where I thought was the centre of my fabric. I'm off to one side, but it'll fit. I'm not worried because I'm over the halfway point. I think the halfway point is about that V there. So it'll fit fine. Not stressed about that. I'm stitching this on a 16 count white aid. I had to think for a minute there. I don't know why. I think typography, that's the word I was looking for. This kind of quite modern graphic typography type stitch, I don't know, there's just something about Ada that's quite clean and crisp. So I chose I would do it on this 16 count. And I have to say I've not enjoyed stitching on it particularly. It's crispy, crunchy, and not as nice to stitch on. But it does look nice and sharp and crisp. So it's absolutely getting the kind of effect that I want. So that's it there. So yeah, quite enjoying that one. I'm using the Cold for DMCs, but I've substituted out a couple of the colours for ones I didn't have and found a substitute that would work nicely. And it's just, there's white, but only for things that are inside, like the little hearts on these envelopes. And there's a bigger motif that's got white inside. So at no point is the white on the white of the fabric without anything around it. And other than that, it's kind of a gradient of pinks and 321, the red, which is always thinking of red and pink. They kind of clash slightly, but in the nicest of ways here. So yeah, that one will get tucked away now until next year, my 2027 plans diary. And I'll get it finished next year. Like I say, I'm over halfway. It's not going to be an issue. It's quite straightforward, simple, easy stitch to work on. So that's my first two, my starts. And now I've got a couple of starts and finishes I'm going to share with you. You're kind of going to feel that today has been sponsored by Primrose Cottage. It hasn't been, and it hasn't been done deliberately that way. That's just how it's worked for what I've had to stitch on. So my first of my two new starts is this one. Again, Primrose Cottage, and it's Hello Winter. Now, I can't remember if this one or the other one I've got is the freebie. I can't remember. But this is it here. Now, this is a lovely little stitch. It's so sweet. I have stitched this on what started life as, picture this plus, 32 count Lugana Helix, which is this fabric here, which is a brilliant thing to have sitting in your stash. It's a really usable, handy, cool neutral. But the white didn't really show on it, and I just wanted something a little bit more blue. Love a blue fabric, can't go wrong with a blue fabric. So this is what I have come up with. I made quite a dilute solution of Rit dye. I'm trying to think which one it was, if it was navy or if it was denim. I can't remember, but it was quite dilute. And what I did was I soaked my fabric and I dipped just a sponge into my dye solution. Use a big enough sponge that your fingers are away from it because it's in boiling water and it is scalding hot. And I just kind of dabbed it on top of the helix. So you get blue mottling from what's gone in stronger, you know, that's absorbed more of the liquid because it was sponged on, so some bits got thicker. But you also get the mottling of the grey coming through of the helix. And I'm absolutely delighted at how that turns out. It's reading a little bit greyer there than it is in real life. I'm trying to see if the blue will pick up. And it's showing slightly more mottled there than it is in real life. It's showing us like a big patch. You can't really see that. So obviously in real life. But I'm delighted with how it worked out, and I might get some helix just to keep by, just for other projects that I want to do like that, I want something quite subtle and pale, so I can ever so lightly over dye it. Because I tend to be a bit heavy-handed when it comes to dyeing fabrics, so I'm delighted that this one came out a little bit more delicate. So yeah, that's it. I have stitched it with my own choice of over dyes and DMC. I'm trying to think what I think. A couple of them are Gentle Arts. Yeah, just a really sweet little stitch. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. So that will get made into a cushion at some point. It was never going to be in time to be out this winter. So it'll happen before next winter. I can't believe I need a 2027 diary already. So this is the other one. Again, another Primrose Cottage. I've done exactly the same thing with the fabric and exactly the same thing with the flosses. I've kind of made it out of my own stash. I've used the same floss, both of them, so that they match nicely, because they'll probably end up going in a tier tray next to each other, so they speak to each other quite nicely. This one's longer and thinner, and it's lovely. Cute little snowmen with their carrot noses, just as that little kind of peak of bright orange in amongst all those winter colours. So that's that too. The next one I've got, I'm going to move on to whips now. And this is my Blackwork piece. And this is something I started, it was meant to be starting the first week of January. Fabric didn't arrive, for catalogue reasons. So I started late. And this is it here. Come on, just get rid of all that background stuff. There we go. So this is a chart from the Steady Thread, and it's called Colour Wheel, and it has 126 different DMCs in that. So my plan had originally been to divide those into 52 weeks, and I would do so many per week, but I didn't get to start it until the third week of January, so I spread it into 49 weeks instead of the 52. So the first 4 weeks are 4 parts a week, and then I go to 2, and then the last few weeks I've got 3, just because there are this ones at the edge that tend to be a little bit thinner. So there'll be 3 of those. There'll be 1 bigger one and 2 slim little ones. So that is what I am aiming for. So when you last saw this, I had just started it, and I had only got the first week done. And I am now completely up to date, and I have got the first 4 weeks in. So I've got a bit of a shadow there. But yeah, so I started off with the yellows coming round into like the orangey reds, and I was quite disappointed at how pale the yellow is. The first one I did, I'm just trying to think, it's that one there, is the palest colour in the whole thing. And I thought, I know it'll get better as I start to build around it. But I was like, it was just disappearing. Because, yeah, so you would have had that 4 round to the pink. And now that I've put the others in, it's definitely looking a lot better. But you can see there's kind of like a pale section here. But it'll be okay. But I am up to date, including this week. So that's 4 weeks worth of parts in there. With 16 colours. Yeah. So I'm stitching this on a 16 count Ada, again with Blackwork. I always think it looks nice and crisp on an Ada, and it's also just a little bit easier to count. As much as I love even weave, when you're doing these kind of intricate patterns, it helps if you're not having to count over 2. It's much easier to go a bit squiffy, so to keep them right. So that's where I am with that one. So this is something I will be working on all year through. I have it scheduled literally right up to the last week of December. Been wanting to do it for ages, so this was the year to do it. So I'm really enjoying it. As I've kind of like said to a couple of people in comments, the hardest part of it is because I'm doing it on a 17-inch frame, so that it's all completely stretched out and as it's going to be. I've only got short little arms, so trying to reach in when it's on, or you know, I tend to work on a Lowry. It's a long way to the middle to stitch, but that's going to get easier with every round that passes as it grows and gets closer to the edge. So I'm quite excited. I was very fortunate that when I bought the chart. I bought it as a download from Claire at the Steady Thread, but she has very kindly put together a kit of threads for that, and a couple of other charts that she's done as well that have got a lot of colours. I've got another one to do. It'll be next year's Blackwork stitch, that it's got 106 colours. Like I say, this one's got 126, I think it was. So she's put together kits where you get a length of the DMC, but they're all organised in the right order. On, I think there's, I'm just trying to think, is it about 10 cards? 10 or 12 cards I have. And there's more than enough. I could probably stitch it 3 times with the amount of thread, but it's great because it's all there for you. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to work out what's next, go scrabbling around to try and find it if you've got it in your set of DMCs, or buying whole skeins for the ones that you don't have. It's brilliant, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive, so it's made life much, much easier. So that is my Blackwork. Then I've got a note here, my secret project. I put 1841 stitches into it, and I have about the same again still to go. And I had a chat with a framer. I popped in earlier this week, and I just said, I've got this cross stitch I'm working on just now. It's not finished yet. What kind of lead time do I need for it to be, allow for time for framing? And I said, I need it the start of May, the first week of May, is when I need it. And he says, 3 weeks minimum. Yeah, 3 weeks minimum. 4 would be better. So I said, okay, so say end of March. So it's ready for the beginning of May into the first week of May. Yeah, make it the middle of March. So all of a sudden my 3-week lead time has doubled to 6 weeks, which has also cut down on the amount of time I have got left to do it. So I need to be getting a wriggle on with that one. In theory, I need to be giving it to him in 3 weeks, so that's about 600 stitches a week I need to be doing. So yeah, I need to get a wriggle on with that one. You will see it in due course in May, when it's no longer a secret. So yeah, that's that one. So that was the 10th project I worked on, but you're not going to get to see it today. So back to things you can see. And if you've been here before, you'll know this is one of my favourite projects. This is it here. It's the Quebec seasons from Pigeon Coop Designs. And I've been working down here on winter. If you haven't been here before and heard the story of this one, it's 4 little vignettes of the same scene in the 4 seasons. So up here is going to be spring, summer, autumn, and I'm currently working on winter. And I started this back in August with a view to doing one of the scenes every quarter for the appropriate season. So I started it in August, got it finished in time to start autumn, fall for my cousins across the pond, ready for the autumn equinox, the 21st of autumn. 21st of September, 21st of autumn, 21st of September. No, I loved stitching this. I absolutely loved it. It's Pigeon Coop. Most of us absolutely love his designs. There's just something about them. They're just a dream to stitch. So when I started this in autumn, I had to really sit on my hands and stop myself racing ahead and finishing it all in one go. So my thought had been that I would do the sky, the land and the water as 3 separate entities and do one a month. And that's what I did. And it hurt. It was painful to put it down rather than just cracking on, because I am just loving this. So this one, I started it in December, the very end of December, once the winter solstice was passed, and I kind of got the border done, and I did a tiny little bit of the sky just with thread that was left on the needle. And then January I did the sky, and February I've done the land, and I just love it. Colours are completely different. The spring colours are quite similar to the summer ones, just a little bit more kind of like pastel-y. But that's just a completely different colour scheme and just beautiful. So I am now quite excitedly waiting until March so I can fill in the water, and it'll be the water will be an easy stitch. There's only 2 colours in the water this time, which is kind of like autumn. It's just this one's got kind of like a little bit of waves coming in, but it's just, I think there's, is it white and a very pale blue 775, I think. But when I get the water done, I can also go back, and these trees have got branches, because when you look, obviously you've got fir trees, evergreens, but you've got deciduous trees as well. So in the winter the firs have kept their greenery, but there are branches and trunks and stems to go in for the deciduous trees that have lost their leaves. But I just love this. Thoroughly enjoyed stitching this. So that is that one. So yeah, almost 3/4 of the way through that one. So my last whip that I have to show you today is one that I worked on for a Whip Warriors challenge. It was, the name of the challenge was Lonely Hearts, and it was to work on your unloved whips, your kind of like long neglected whips. Now I do have one that I started March 24, which is my longest whip, apart from a Blackwork one I've had from, yeah, like over 25 years probably. And I thought about doing that one, and I just couldn't bring myself to. Just didn't appeal to me. It's an autumn one. It's Autumn in the City by Crochet Go-Go, and I love it. But I have a complicated relationship with it. You know, if we were to look at my Facebook status for a relationship, it would be complicated. So I didn't fancy that. So I went to my next kind of like least loved one. And this is one I started back in April last year, which you will have seen 100 times over, finished long before mine. But it's this one. It's Spring Moon from Plum Street Samplers. Now this one, again, we have a history. This is stitched on one of my favourite fabrics. It's Paul Stitch's Lightning Strike, and I've used it in several projects. I just love it. So I started stitching this last April, and I started doing the basket. And I started doing it, it's a 32 count, because I've used it lots of times before. 2/2, never had an issue with it. So I started doing the base count. Base count. Honestly, I am not good at speaking. I'm really not. I started doing this lovely basket, and I was stitching away at it. And I think I did the darker black coffee, I think it's called. And it was really bulky. It wasn't so, and it was really tight going through. And I'm like, this is stitching much tighter than previous pieces of the same fabric I've had. So I didn't like it. So I stitched the basket. You know, started putting the terracotta in, got a fair way through the terracotta, and I'm like, I don't like it. I really don't like it. It's far too heavy and dense. So I frogged it all. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stitches. Frogged it all. And I went back and I redid it in 1/2, which is not my normal comfort zone, not in a 32 certainly. And I really liked it, and it was much more of a pleasure to stitch. So I thought, right, I'll stick with that. So the next thing was this massive block of roof. And I just knuckled down and did that, because I had thought, oh, will I treat myself? Will I start to do some of the flowers and the leaves up here, and eventually the hair? No, just eat your veg, battle through it. If you just get your head down, you'll be quick enough. So I did that, and I started on the building. And then I just got scunnered with it. I fell out of love with it. As much as I love the end result, all this stitching and frogging and restitching just took the joy away from it for me. And I wasn't particularly enjoying this checkerboard design of the bricks, which, when you see it's really effective, it's got one DMC and it's got one over die. So it looks so beautifully mottled that the light catches it. It's just so effective. So I kind of like, I put it down and hadn't gone back to it. When I started picking up other things to work on after a few months, this one never got any love. And I think I was about halfway between these windows, maybe just ever so slightly towards this. So none of this was in. So I thought that's the Lonely Heart challenge was a good chance for me to crack on. And I did. I put into this 1795 stitches. That was last weekend. And I started Hey Sweetheart as well in the same weekend. So I got a fair bit of stitching done last week. So 1795 stitches, which meant I finished the building and I came down and I started putting in some of the flowers, because there's just plain green grass and then these kind of flowers in relief in it. So my thought had been that eventually I will just have to, you know, work out where my border around this, and then it's straight filling. So that's an easy one for when, you know, maybe I'm chatting with somebody on a Zoom or something like that, that I don't have to be constantly referring to the chart. So that's where that's at. And I got into a groove doing my checkerboard, and I actually ended up enjoying it, and I have fallen back in love with it. We are friends again. Our relationship status on Facebook has changed from complicated to loved up. So hopefully this will get more attention over, sorry, a bit of fluff, the next few weeks and months. It's going to be a while before it's finished. I mean, it's not a huge chart on where I'm at, 28.7% the way through it, so I'm over a quarter of the way. So it's not a huge chart, but it is when you're doing lots and lots of other things as well, and you're not, you know, you're only maybe working on it 1 or 2 sessions before it goes away again. So that is my whips. So that leaves me now with 3 fully finished objects. So I'm going to start with the first one. Surprise, surprise. More Primrose Cottage. I've got another 2 Primrose Cottage for you. So this is one that I actually finished last month, but I didn't get round to FFOing. So I have FFO'd it. So if you've come and seen me here before, you know that I have been working on all these kind of like something kisses. Going back to Easter last year, and they all get framed in these. This is kind of like just a ply. I got these from Joanne's when we were over visiting Ailey. I picked up a whole load of them. So they've all been framed. There's this, or there's a scalped one, which you will see in a minute. The other one's in the scalp. So there's the 2 frames, the 2 shapes. One of them I've painted and stuck some silk flowers on. Most of them I have covered in paper, and that's what I have done with this one, and I've just stuck a couple of die cuts on it. I thought the design is busy enough as it is without too much embellishment on it. Although I have to say I am demented. I had thought I had put this on the fabric, the paper straight when I was, you know, sticking it down. I've gone slightly squint, and that's going to be enough to drive me nuts. But it's a really cute little stitch. I spoke about it last time I was here, about my choice of colours and all kind of things. But that is it now, FFO'd, so it's ready to be tucked away in my winter decor box to come out next January. So that's that. So with the same kind of thing in mind, I did the Valentine one. Hugs, Kisses and Valentine Wishes, I think this one was called. And that's it there. Now it's a bit of a dafty. Everything I have done so far in this set I have stitched on a 28 count, which fits nicely. But I brain farted, and I had a offcut of white 16 count from the Hey Sweetheart, the bigger piece that I'm doing. And I thought, oh, I'll just rattle up on that. Great. It's too small for the aperture. So I have put pink scallop around the inside of the aperture to make it smaller, and now it looks like it's meant to be that size, because I could not face restitching it. I had hummed and hawed when I had stitched it, and when I'd started on the bigger one as well, about doing it on a coloured background. I've got quite a nice pink, even weave, and I've got some like lilacs and mauves, purples. I've got one, I think it's called hydrangea, just like purples and blues, kind of mottled. And I thought, no, I just want it plain, and I'm really glad I did, because it's meant that it's worked better for finishing it. Because it's quite a simple graphic design, I have gone for a simple graphic paper with just these stripes. I don't think I'm going to do anything else on it. The stripes are really busy. The aperture is smaller because of those scallops I've put in it. I think anything else would be too much. So obviously it's too late for it to go up for Valentine's this year, but it will go up next year, and it'll be joined by the bigger one, hopefully. So that is that one. And then I'm sure that this is the photo I'm going to use for my cover. So you'll already have seen this, my bigger finish. So I'll show you it first and then we'll talk about it. So this is it here. This is Madame Chantilly's Celebrate Bees. I'm in love. I'm very in love. So I'm going to put it down for now because it's big. There we go. I'll leave it there. So I spoke about this one in my last Flosstube, and how this was my birthday start last year. So middle of March last year. And I wanted to have it finished by the middle of March this year. So there was a Whip Warriors focus event at the start of the month, where it was, you know, how much progress can you make on a whip? So I decided to pull this one out, and I put in the last 1619 stitches to finish it. I just cracked on. And I have to say, the last 1619 stitches were not the most straightforward. There's a lot of, you know, faffy colour changes in these flowers. I basically I had the mug in. This side was mostly done, but I had these flowers to do, and then I had all these daisies and the bees, and then all these little bees that are just frustrating to stitch, but they're so cute when they're done. They're really effective. So I just decided to push on and finish it. It's finished in plenty of time for my birthday. Now I had great plans of framing this, finishing it in a different way. My intention had been, I've got another 8 of these to stitch. This is the one that's kind of generic, that could be year round. I've got spring, summer, autumn, winter, Christmas, Halloween, Easter and Valentine's. So my intention had been to stitch them all over the next few years and put them on Mightboard, and then have a bigger frame with like shiplap in it. I don't know if any of you remember, was it Hands On Design who did like, I can't remember what it was called, it was a hook or something. Nicole Spore was stitching it as a stitch along, and it had a frame from Chantal 141 designed for it that had like a shiplap. It wasn't shiplap, but it was kind of routed, so it looked like panelling. So my thought had been do something like that, and put magnets in it and then swap them out. So you've got the bigger frame with the slightly decorative background, and then these swap out on top of it. But when I looked at the space where I wanted to put this, it wasn't going to work. It was too big. It would have been, it's kind of at one side of an arch, going from our dining room into like a little sunroom, and it would have been touching the edge of the arch and touching the wall on the other. It wasn't going to work. So I needed to come up with a much more space sensitive way of framing it. So I decided to go for a really plain, simple oak coloured frame, and I did it myself. Just laced it up myself and got that finished off, and I'm delighted with it. While it would have been nice to have it in a fancy frame, I think a simple frame just lets it speak. And I have another 8 of these frames to do the same with the others, which is going to be a nip-it because they're not all exactly the same size. Some of them are going to be pushing it on the boundaries. But that will hopefully be going up this weekend. We're away all day tomorrow seeing Bruce's son and daughter for belated birthday celebrations. Luke turned 30 the other day and Bruce has just had his birthday. So we're seeing them tomorrow to celebrate. But hopefully on Sunday, maybe get a chance to get that up on the wall. And the corner I'm putting it in, where I've decided I'll go, is out of the sun, so it's going to be safe. I didn't put anything in front of the stitches because it's such a simple frame. There's no space. It came with like plexiglass, but whether I'd used that, which is you know really thin, or glass, which is obviously a fair bit thicker, it would have flattened the stitches, and I'd rather they had a little bit of air around them. So I've just not put anything in the front of it. So it's out of the way of sunlight, so I don't need like archival glass or anything. So yes, I am so excited that that one is done. So that's it. That is my 10 things to show you for today. I'm doing quite well on time as well. This is not like me. So yeah, some finishes there. Some nice stitching. Like I said, not bad for a couple of weeks' work. There might have been other bits that I would have... There was a couple of things I'd been really, really excited to stitch for winter. But I just needed to be realistic. Like I say, my head's not been great. I'm still suffering with this stupid sinus infection or whatever it is. And I just thought, no, just don't overwhelm yourself. There's next year. There's years of stitching ahead, hopefully. So yeah. Sorry, I've just realised I've got a picture here to show you. I was so busy blethering. That's what the 4 vignettes will look like. So that's the spring one up there. You can see like it's very similar in colours, but just much lighter. And the other one I've got, just in case you haven't seen it, is the finished plum moon, so you can see what I mean about those. The flowers at the bottom. I will be changing mine up slightly. I don't like that bee skep. It's too big. So I will just move that flower in and do it as a complete flower rather than half a flower, and then find something to fill the space at the side. But I'll not be stitching that skep. That's not for me. So yes, that is my stitching for the last 2 weeks. So I suppose the logical place to move on to would be plans. And by plans, I mean plans for the next couple of weeks, not 2027. So yeah, I've got a lot I would like to stitch on. I've got a lot I need to do in the next week. And then a lot kind of like going through into March as well. So I kind of scribbled down notes. If you've been here before, you know that I like notes. Do you like my notes? Next week, I need to work on Miss Al's, last week of the month. Again, it's Whip Warrior. I can't remember what the name of the challenge is. Strident Sal. So that kind of like is my time to work on Miss Al's. So that means I want to catch up, although it isn't a stitch along as such. In fact, no, I'll come back to that separate. So that really is Emerald City, Hummingbirds, Bumblebee Noon, and I'm going to class Blizzard Valley in there as well. So I need to be working on those. I'd like to try and get 500 stitches in each if I possibly can. And I'm adding in a new stitch along as well, because I'm going to do the Whip into Shape. Andrew, the runner stitcher, has come up with a new incarnation of his Whip into Shape challenge that he did last year when he was training for firstly the Sydney Marathon and then the New York Marathon. And he's not planning on doing any marathons at the moment, but he is doing walks. So I'm not going to tell you all the details about it, because I'd much rather you went over and watched Andrew's channels and he explains it all beautifully, what he's going to be doing. He mentions it in the last few videos, and he's got a video where he goes into it in great detail, a Flosstube. But basically he's going to do regular walks, which he's going to film, and he set up a second YouTube channel so that we can walk along with him. I know that there are people who are putting his walks on and walking along with him on a treadmill, I would do that. But the treadmill's in the garage and it's too perishing cold in there. So no, I'll stitch along instead of walk along. But at the moment he's visiting his parents in Florida, so he's on the coast, so he's taking us for walks around the parks, the beaches, you know, that kind of scenery, and then he'll go back to New York and we'll get walks around Manhattan and so on. So I didn't join in last year because I wasn't at a place where I felt like I could focus so completely on one piece. But this time around I have decided to do it, and I have decided my piece for Whip Into Shape is going to be my Joan Elliott Year in Silhouette, and the black stitch that I'm doing. So that is the plan. I haven't started doing it yet, so I need to get caught up on January stitches. He's got a couple of walks he did in January. I need to get those stitches done, and then I can look at February. So I'll probably be playing catch up for the next few weeks until I'm kind of up to date. He's got 2 walks in so far for February, and you have a choice of kind of like stitching along with the duration of how long his walks are, of doing a mileage based stitch. So if he does 4.71 miles, you do 471 stitches, that kind of thing. Or you can do your stitching based on his steps. I haven't decided which of those 3 I'm going to do yet, and it may take a bit of fine-tuning to make sure that I'm happy with which route I do go, depending on how many stitches it's going to be per month, because I don't want to fall behind on my other sales as well. So we'll fine tune it, but I'm really excited to be doing that. Andrew's an absolute sweetheart. He's absolutely beloved within this community, and I'm really, really looking forward to it because it's a good way of getting a lot of stitches into one piece. So yeah, excited about that. So that's my Year of Silhouettes, my Joan Elliott. Speaking of Joan Elliott, I will be participating in Monochrome March. I know there's going to be a few of us doing that. Kat from Catkin and Lily, she has a monthly theme. It's been Fancy February, so lots of fancy ladies. I love fancy ladies, but not something I'm stitching. So March is Monochrome March, because she's like me, she loves the Joan Elliott's, the silhouette effect ones. So I'm going to be celebrating Monochrome March, which means by the end of March, because I have 2 more Joan Elliott's to start, towards the end of March, I'm going to have 10 monochrome pieces that I've got in my kind of rotation that I'm going to want to work on. So that's 10 monochromes to get some love on top of all the other stitching I want to be doing on my sales and other projects. So already March is kind of looking like a project hungry and need a lot of stitches, which is not ideal in that Bruce is thinking about us going away for a few days, and I wouldn't be able to do a huge amount of stitching when we're away. So we'll see. Even if I get 100 stitches into each, I would like to touch all 10 of them. Of that, there's a Christmas one and a Halloween one, so maybe I could tie that in with my 25th of the month and last day of the month stitching, which would make sense. So that's that. What else have I got? I still have to do February's Butterfly Garden. Excited to do that, really excited. I'm going to be doing that next week as well, and I've got peace and quiet and time to just completely throw myself into it and give it my full attention and focus, because it deserves no less, because I just love it so much. So that will be, I'm trying to think what it is. Is it Phlox? I can't remember. The first one was Buddleia. I can't remember. I think this one, if I'm right, has Lazy Daisies, possibly. Looking forward to it. And stitching with silks is just an absolute pleasure. So looking forward to that. Welcome to the forest. I need to pull up my big girl pants and get some frocking done in that, because I can't progress with it until I've taken out what's there. And I don't want it to go away for as long as Spring Moon did, because I was, you know, I had the hump with it. So maybe March isn't going to be the right month because there's so much other stuff going on. But it would be fine if I could, even just a couple of those banners out would be progress. What else have I got? I've got a couple of St. Patrick's Day stitches, some smalls, including the last of this Kisses, that set. I've got the last one so far for now to do is my St. Patrick's Day, plus one that's probably going to end up a cushion. I've got some St. Patrick's stitches already that I'll put out with my tier tray, but you know, you can never have too many. Be rude not to. So yeah, so that's kind of my plans over the next few weeks, and specifically next week with the stitch alongs. That's quite a considerable amount of stitching I want to do there, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You know, it's not life or death. It's not like the world's going to stop if I don't touch one of them one month. So yeah, that is my plans. The only other thing I have to do, which I had thought about trying to be a bit more proactive about and being organised to talk about it with you today, but then my head's been minced, is trying to decide what I would like to do for my birthday stitch starting next month. So I've got 3 weeks and I still haven't decided what I want to start. I've got several things in mind, and every time I think I'm narrowing it down, something else gets added into the mix. So I haven't decided yet, but by the next time we talk, I will have decided, because I'll only have a week to go before I need to be starting it. So yeah, that's not a stitching thing I have to do, but it's something I need to. I wasn't put on this planet to make decisions. Let's just put it that way. I am not any good at decisions. And when you have so many beautiful charts that you're desperate to stitch, it's like being made to choose between your children, which is your favourite child. No, I want to stitch all of them all of the time and have them all done and beautiful and up on the wall, and just then get new ones. So yeah, that's where we're at plan wise. So what else have I got to talk to you about today? I have a couple of things that have razzled my berries in the last couple of days. I'm kind of gradually getting to spend a little bit more time on Flosstube. Still not a huge amount, so I'm not picking a Flosstuber or something like that out this time. My berry razzler is a market release, Nashville Needlework Market. All the releases, you know, all the previews we're getting of them. Now, I did say before that this year I plan on stitching as much as I can from the library of charts I already have, because I've got enough to keep me going for a few lifetimes, as most of us will, I'm sure. You know, collecting charts is a separate hobby all on its own. So I was not intending on buying anything unless it absolutely called out to me, you know, that it sang for me, that I needed to get it. And I have seen some that I really like and that will possibly come and live in my little chart library at some point, but not yet. There's a few. I've actually find things that are not my usual style, which, you know, it's I've only been doing this again for what, maybe 2.5 years, and it's amazing how your tastes change and become refined within your stitching journey. So yeah, there's a Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread that for some reason is really calling to me quite loudly, and that's not my normal style. I'm kind of like a little bit more modern in what I stitch, but it's lovely. So that will possibly, but there is one, and this is my berry razzler, because I saw it and I'm like, oh, I need to have it. I need to have it straight away. Why can't I have it already? Because I could be doing it in monochrome March. that is Hello from Liz Matthews, Busy Hands, Happy Heart. I love it. I just love it. And I cannot wait to get my grubby little paws on it. So that is the one that I am going to push aside my no new charts rule for, because it is calling to me so loudly. It's beautiful. And it very much sums up my feeling towards my stitching. Busy hands, happy heart. My heart is happy when I'm stitching. It keeps me sane. It is my therapy. It's my solace. It's my distraction. This last, what is it? So it's been about 10 weeks now that I've been feeling really, really quite poorly. Even though I've had so much pain in my face and stinking horrible headaches, that concentrating has been difficult. Focusing on my stitching has almost diverted attention away from that. And yeah, I don't know how it works, but stitching is my sanity. And I'm sad when I'm not stitching. I get the twitches, you know, I must be obsessed. I must be an addict. You know, my name is Pam and I'm a floss addict. So yeah, the sentiment is just perfect for me. It sums up my whole ethos to cross stitch, my whole relationship with it. And the design itself is beautiful. Again, I'm going to be stitching it as a monochrome piece. I've pretty much decided what kind of fabric and floss I want to use. I want it to kind of look quite Wedgwood. So yeah, there's lots of market releases which are making me really happy, but that's the one that is absolutely razzling my berry at the moment. But I do have something else that has razzled my berry in the last few days that I made a note of because I wanted to share it with you because it just made me smile. Some of you will possibly relate more than others to this. If you're my age, I'm mid-50s, this will absolutely tickle you. So this is what it says. I'll read it out to you. It says, as a Gen Xer, I've walked like an Egyptian. Moonwalked, walked this way, walked on the wild side, walked on sunshine, walked the line, and walked 500 miles. I've walked a lot. I'm tired. I just loved that when I saw it. Just loved that. So yeah, that's my kind of berry razzlers. I thought that we'll do something a bit different. I'll have something that has brought a smile to my face that's not stitchy related. But that absolutely made me happy when I saw it. And I will be keeping that. So that now leaves us with Scottish Word of the Day. And it wasn't a hard word to choose for me because it really reflects who I have been this last few weeks. And it's Gurn. Gurn is... Well, a lot of people say that it's like a face. It's a facial expression. You kind of twisting your face because you're unhappy. But to me, it's kind of used in conversation. Certainly, in my experience growing up, is complaining, whining, whinging, moaning. And that's what I've been the last few weeks, isn't it? Let's face it, I've been a whinge. Feeling sorry for myself with a pity party because I've not been feeling great. So I have been a gurn. I've gurned. I have been gurning. I've been gurning just in the last few minutes. So it seemed appropriate. I don't know that I pull a gurney face all the time. But yeah, I've definitely not been on form. I've got an appointment at the health centre. Finally, it's taken forever for this appointment to come around. The NHS is absolutely wonderful if you can actually get to see anybody. It's been a long wait to try and get back and get some further help on what's been going on. Because like I say, this has been since about the start of December. So I'm ever optimistic, ever hopeful that, by this time next week, I will have more help, understanding. I already think I'm possibly in the way. It's kind of getting better. I don't feel like I'm being slapped in the face with a cast iron frying pan the whole time. Sometimes it's just like a lightweight, kind of like Tefal type frying pan. But I'm very much looking forward to being out the other side of it. So yeah, ever hopeful. And I will stop being a garn, and I will stop being so flaky and useless at replying to messages and posting on Instagram and all that nonsense, because I have been useless. I've been ever so slightly preoccupied. So there we go. There's a plan to no longer be a garn. To be happy and optimistic and productive member of society. Because on the whole, I'm a happy soul. I kind of like, I make a point of practicing an attitude of gratitude, of choosing that, choosing to be grateful for all the wonderful things and people I have in my life. And I really am very, very blessed. I don't like being a garn, and I don't like being so flaky. So I'm looking forward to finding my way back to me and not being a garn. So that's my Scottish word of the day for you. It's an easy one. Or you could pull a garny face if you wanted to as well. But I do have another Scottish thing that I wanted to read out to you. Again, something that I stumbled across that made me smile. And this is a Scottish Valentine's verse. And it just made me happy. Bruce and I don't do Valentine's cards and any of that. You know, we celebrate our relationship and our love for each other every day. We don't need Hallmark to make us spend money to do it. So we don't do cards or anything like that. But if I did send him a Valentine's card, this is what I would write inside it. So it says, "My heart's in a guddle, my head's full of mince. I loved you at first sight, I've loved you ever since. You shine like a Tunnock's tea cake, you fizz like iron brew. You're an absolute darling, and I pure fancy you." I just thought that was lovely. That so blows Roses Are Red out of the water. I'm going to keep a note of that in case I ever do. I suppose it wouldn't have to be a Valentine's card that could get written in. Yeah. So hopefully some of you will know what a Tunnock's tea cake is. I imagine most of you have heard of iron brew. I just love that. I thought I would share in the hope that it put a smile on somebody's face. So yeah, I think that's us for just now. I hope you have enjoyed spending some time with me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the projects that I've shared with you today. They've all made me happy for one reason or another, and I hope some of that joy has found its way to you, even if it's been something I have loved stitching on from the very start, or something like Spring Moon, where it's been a bumpier path, but it's proof that you can find your way back to it. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me, because I really love hanging out with you. I love reading all your comments, even if it takes me a while to get there. I love reading them. I love getting to know people. I love hearing what you're working on, what's making you happy, what's happening in your life. These things bring me joy. So I love being here, talking with you and having that relationship with you. If you have enjoyed yourself and you haven't already done so, I'd be delighted if you would like to hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get a notification if I post. And you can hit the little bell button, ring my bell, like Anita Ward, and that will give you a proper notification, not just within YouTube, but it'll send you a notification if I have posted something. I have no idea how the whole hype things work, so I'm not even going to think about that. Not a clue. Not a clue. I'm here for friends, not hype. But yes, if you would like to like and subscribe and hopefully come back, I would be very appreciative, and it would make me really happy. The more my channel grows, the more lovely people I get to meet, and who they become flossy friends, and the world is a happy place. But for now, I'm going to leave you. It is, where are we? What time is it? just after 5 o'clock on Friday evening, so I suppose the weekend is officially here. Bruce will be hopefully home in the next hour. He doesn't normally work quite so late on a Friday, so the weekend can officially begin then. I hope you all have nice plans ahead for your weekend, doing something nice, whatever it is, or even if you're just doing the everyday mundane stuff, that it goes smoothly and easily and pain-free for you. I hope you're staying sane with all the crazy la-la that's going on in the world at the moment. It's not always the easiest place to be, but find refuge in your stitching. And on Flosstube, there are lots of lovely people who are nice to hang out with and just take you away from the real world. Flossy world is much more fun. So please spend some time doing that as well. As for Flosstube itself, anybody I have mentioned, I will link below, and I'll also put a note of the projects that I have talked about as well. I'll maybe actually be really organised and add those two things that I have spoken to you about, the Gen Xer thing and the Scottish Valentine's verse. And I will of course put the Scottish word of the day as well. So yeah, that'll all be down below. So in the meantime, I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to get my lovely Celebrate Bees. I should have said there was actually something along here at the bottom that said Love Bees, but I didn't want to put that. So I'm going to take this downstairs and leave it in a prominent place as a very obvious and unsubtle hint to Bruce that it needs to be up on Sunday. Not going to get time tomorrow. And yeah, that's us. Take really good care of yourself. Make time for the things that makes you happy. Make time for the people that make you happy. And prioritise your own well-being. It's that whole thing about cabin crew stewards, you know. They say that if the oxygen masks fall down, you put your own on first before you help somebody else, because you can't help somebody else if you're running on empty. So look after yourself. Prioritise your well-being as well of those, you know, family around you. Because you do matter. Laura's the best one for telling you that. She says so beautifully. And also Sarah from Sarah Stitches Book. If you want anybody to make you feel loved and special, those two lovely ladies are the ones to do it. But I'm going to go and leave you in peace, because I always get to this stage and haver on because I'm useless at wrapping this up. So I'm just going to do it. Take really good care of you. I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks. I'm going to try and get into a routine of doing every fortnight, not twice a month, but every fortnight. I will figure out how to do a routine yet. Just you mark. Remember, my new year starts in March. I'm not having a January new year, I'm having a March new year. So all the New Year's resolutions will be hitting. We're going to be on top of it. Be good, look after yourself, and I'll catch up with you then. Bye.